wanted to do a follow-up to my previous video on trying to move some of my music from finale to Aureole and MuseScore. At the very end, I said maybe I should try Sibelius. So that is just what I did. Now, I had been warned away from Sibelius by many different composers, and I wanted to make sure I understood why. So I looked into the state and the history of Sibelius. It seems in 2006, Sibelius was sold to Avid. That's almost 20 years ago. Then in 2012, Avid decided to divest from their consumer product, and they got rid of most of their staff. And that staff is what split off to work on Aureole. And it seems like some finale people have now also gone over to Aureole. The other thing that they tell me is there hasn't been any changes in Sibelius since 7.5, and that's been several years ago. They're concerned about how active the development is on this software. And the most recent news was last year, they were purchased by a private equity company and are no longer listed in the NASDAQ. So that sometimes is the sign of a company that is waning and may not be around anymore. Some of the other research I looked into also sort of pointed to drop in users and people switching off of Sibelius into Aureole, and just an overall, even some of the other Avid products having a smaller and smaller market share. So from what I was able to glean in the few hours I researched it, seems to be why people are steering me away from it. But that being said, I need a tool that's going to do what I need to do, provided it's going to be around for a while, because I don't want to have to do this again. I don't want to spend all the energy and time moving and rescuing pieces again 2 years later, because it could possibly take me 2 years to move all the music. That being said, I still wanted to give it a shot and give it a try. So I ran the same tests that I did for MuseScore and Aureole on Sibelius. Before I show you the results with Sibelius, click that subscribe button, and so you'll be alerted to all the great composer content we have coming up on Music from Human. Okay, we're going to bring the Music XML in from Finale to Sibelius. This is my 4th Symphony, first movement. And element does not match its definition type. Okay, yeah, we had an issue like this with it trying to bring broad into other stuff. I mean, this is just a straight export out of Finale. And Sibelius crashed. Okay, well, now we're going to try Fantasy in D and see what we get from Finale into Sibelius. Okay. Well, none of the box notation made it. Nothing got hidden. Oh, what is this madness? I don't even know what's going on here. Oh, maybe it's from the hiding. They're both being layered on top of each other for some reason. Okay, that's a mess. The one thing I do know is Sibelius does have box notations, so that is nice. I can easily create a box. So that part's really nice. I'm going to redo all this. There we go. And again, something weird going on here. Okay, it is definitely a bit of a mess. Has to do with something about the score being condensed. It's also kind of weird. Okay. All right, we're going to bring in When the Last Tree Has Fallen from Finale into Sibelius. All right. Okay, that is weird. That seems to be prevalent all over the place. What's going on there? Okay, just a little funky with the layout. Oh, yeah, and then here we go. We have more of this crazy collision stuff with the condensed score. All right, well, that page there looks okay. Lyrics seem to be in, although that doesn't seem right. Yeah, it's supposed to be up to a high D here in the bass, and somehow all this part is off like by octaves. Okay. All right. Again, trying this older piece from Finale into Sibelius. That is just a duet. All right. So at least this one got the pickup note right. It's probably the only one for whatever reason, but it's still got this squirreliness. And a lot of other things seem okay here, except for more of this. But he kept it to 4 pages, which is like the original. So this one's so far the best one, but the others have been pretty bad. All right, so from Finale into Sibelius again, this one we had lots of issues with in all the other programs, which I have no idea why. It was a brand new export, but we'll see what happens here. All right, it didn't crash, which is good. Hey, this time the tempo marking is correct. Move along. All right, no boxes, but this relatively easy to create changes to. Again, difficulty with some of the condensed scoring, which I don't really care about anymore. There's some weird thing going on here. That's just like all over the place. Definitely some wacky stuff going on here, but I have all the notes, which is a big improvement. Okay, so we are going to bring in A Baby Sleeps from Finale into Sibelius and see what we get. Okay, it also seemed to have trouble getting these Chinese fonts placed. Again, I drag them and... okay, all right. I don't know what I just did. We'll just undo that and look at that later. Let me shrink down. This looks like it also had trouble with the feathered notation import. For whatever reason. Yeah, still that, again, has this wackiness with the condensed score import. Other things seem all right. Like before, we're going to bring in the solo flute piece and see what we get. Okay, it is not landscape. I don't know why. Got this right. None of the feathered beaming. None of the note heads. None of the fonts. Okay. So with some work, figuring out how to do things. Now I have 2 of these. I was able to figure out how to get stuff hidden that wasn't too hard, but for some reason, some of these still have rest in them and others don't. I have no idea why. I didn't research it. Sibelius, like Dorico, uses the concept of switching instruments to hide these. At least that's the method that I found to use. They do have a built-in 0 instrument. That's how I got this. But then, it creates this 2 flute and 2, bunch of little things that I had to hide. Possibly there's a way I could turn those off by default. But it just makes me miss staff styles even more because it's not an instrument change. It's just I want to change the staff at that point in time and keep the same instrument. This feathered beaming worked okay when I added that, but I added it here and it didn't do anything. So I couldn't I couldn't get this feathered, which I don't know why that was, but when I tried to get that feathered, I couldn't, just didn't do it. And then this one only feathered like these 2 notes, and did this another one where it didn't feather. So I haven't taken time to research it. Now, on the plus side, these showed up right originally. I was able to import this and this as a articulation, get those in. I think these are a little too small. I can adjust that. I was able to hide these without too much problem. There's a little bit of wackiness there. You have to move this around for the bar line. The other thing I had difficulty with is I couldn't get this slur back and put it to the right thing. It won't go right where I want it. I can't just target that. I don't know if this is something related to the collision setup, and I could turn that off and make, but just trying to get that slur in the right place was very annoying. The other weird thing that I cannot figure out how to do is get this to actually lay out right. I want to move this up some, and I try to give it a little thing, and then everything jumps. Yeah, so I can't get this to just lay out right, and so that's sort of frustrating and difficult. But I have only spent a couple of hours on this, so very similar to Muse scores, I was able to do a lot of things I needed to do relatively quickly, in the sense that it was semi-intuitive, although the user interface is, like you usually hear, is pretty bad. Seems to be very old PC-centric, while, Finale is 1990s Mac-centric. I mean, the whole reason it looks the way it does is because that was the standard UI that Mac would provide back then, and this looks very Windows-esque. In fact, I hate how they have the menu here and they don't use the menu up here. There's a lot of things that I wanted to do that are kind of hidden. You have to, they don't have a menu item for it or any controls. You have to hunt them down through these commands. I did like the fact that there's a bunch of plugins that you can add in to do things, although the one I tried to do for hiding this, which sort of did weird stuff, so I found another way of doing it. So it's close. I could probably spend another couple of hours, at least I hope I could, and figure stuff out. I'd probably have to redo this beaming some way. I don't know why it just won't feather beam no matter what I do. Says it does it, but it never changes. I can't get these to lay out just quite right. If I can't see, I can't really move it. I try and drag it, and it just doesn't drag. So I don't know what that's about necessarily. Yeah, this was a bit frustrating as well, although easier than Dorico. Those were my results with Sibelius. Not as encouraging as I hoped. I was really hoping it would knock it out of the park. There were more indications that being an older piece of software had all the tooling I may need. And in some cases it does, but it was definitely the reputation of bad interface certainly annoyed me a bit. And I am concerned because it wasn't so much better than the other ones. I'm definitely concerned about its longevity with some of the research I have. So I still am stuck in my composer's dilemma, and I will see what I can do to come up with an answer between these choices. But it seems at this point I may need to risk things with Dorico and just hope that they improve their capabilities for more modern notation practices. Very disconcerting, and keeps me up at night, to be honest. I have some anxiety about it. It's a big factor of what I do, and now it just seems like it's going to be harder to do it. Again, I wish you guys find what's going to work for you, and that it lasts, and that you get all your great pieces completed on time. I will be returning back to my normal programming with composer interviews, and if you'd like to hear composer interviews, click that subscribe button, and I've got a lot of great composers coming up. Thank you.